The Kentucky Wildcats, college basketball's most explosive team. All season long, they've rolled over opponents. Thursday in the Midwest Regional Semifinal, they ran past Utah by 31 points. Today, it's Wake Forest and All-America Tim Duncan standing in their way. Can he lead the Deacons to one more heart-stopping win? Wade working on LaRue, and later wouldn't go. Rebound,
Allen! The joy, the triumph.
Two teams with one goal. The first spot in the Final Four is on the line as Kentucky takes on Wake Forest next. The road to the Final Four runs through the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis, site of today's Midwest Regional Final game between the 31-2 Kentucky Wildcats and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, who come into this game with a record of 26-5. On Thursday night in the regional semifinal, Kentucky annihilated Utah, while Wake Forest snuck by Louisville to set up today's matchup. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough. It's great to have you with us. The Kentucky Wildcats were indeed the most explosive team in the country during the regular season, winning by an average of 23 points per game. They've been better than that here in the NCAA tournament, winning by an average margin of 31 points per game. They've scored over 100 twice. They forced 15 turnovers or more in all 3 games, and it's that pressure defense that sets up the points off the turnovers, and it's a very deep and talented Kentucky team, Bill Raftery, and when you talk about talent, the most talented is Antoine Walker.
Well, they complement that press and causing turnovers with the forceful use of the dribble. This kid is so talented in all aspects. Rick wants him down on the box to dominate. He can do that if they need an offensive rebound. He can handle that as well. Terrific in the open floor. Maybe not David Copperfield, but a lot of magic in his game with the dish.
And today, Wake Forest tries to pull off the upset against Kentucky. They have the great player who can help the Demon Deacons get it done, the man in the middle, Tim Duncan. He really triggers their offense and defense.
So impressive, and a presence on the floor changes your game. That's why their defense is so sound. He can score when needed. With 3 around, why not a little kiss to get the day started by TD? And on this end, there are not too many better at rejecting. He's the Postmaster General, and a little McDonough dance at the end of this. He's got a little emotion. He is ready.
The two coaches are Rick Pitino and Dave Odom, longtime friends. Before today's game, we talked with them about today's matchup.
In the Utah game, we came out, took great shots, got our press on, the tempo was ours. If you come out and you struggle and you don't get in the pressure, then the tempo is theirs.
They play basketball with a tremendous passion, and it's nice to watch. It's very tough to coach against.
If they miss the shot, challenge shot, we're going to come out a winner probably. If they make the shot, it's going to be very difficult for us to win.
That shot, the three-point shot, a big weapon for Wake Forest as it takes on Kentucky next. Better than 30,000 expected inside the Metrodome in Minneapolis today to watch Wake Forest take on Kentucky, the top 2 seeds in the region, have advanced to the regional finals. Starting lineups for Wake Forest: Sean Allen, Ricky Peral, and Tim Duncan up front. Rusty LaRue and Jerry Braswell, the guards. They're still without Tony Rutland, the knee injury. For Kentucky, Antoine Walker and Walter McCarty. Derek Anderson, the 3 forwards. They play with no true center. Tony Delk, their leading scorer, and Anthony Epps is the point guard. We're pleased to be joined again today in Minneapolis by Michelle Tafoya.
Thanks, Sean. Well, Kentucky took a mild hit from the injury bug in the last 24 hours. Anthony Epps and Jeff Shepard both had flu-like symptoms yesterday, and Wayne Turner re-sprained his ankle, but all 3 will play. Wake Forest only wishes it had Kentucky's problems. As you mentioned, Tony Rutland re-injured his knee earlier in the tournament and was held to just 3 minutes in Friday's win over Louisville. He is not expected to play today, although he is available. So it's no rest for the weary as far as Wake Forest is concerned. Tim Duncan, coming fresh off a severe stomach virus, played all 40 minutes on Friday, and guards Rusty LaRue and Jeff Braswell played 39 and 38 minutes respectively. Kentucky, on the other hand, had 10 players starters with 13 minutes or better in Friday's win over Utah. And as Wake Forest head coach Dave Odom was quick to remind us yesterday, Kentucky's 11th man off the bench was formidable freshman sensation Ron Mercer. Sean?
Thank you, Michelle. It's Wake Forest and Kentucky. The winner goes to the Final Four. We'll have it for you in a moment.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Cadillac, Foot Locker, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and by Pizza Hut.
Kentucky and Wake Forest in the Midwest Regional Final here at the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis. The winner goes to the Final Four. There's the road to the Elite Eight for the Kentucky Wildcats. They have not been seriously tested while winning by an average of 31 per game over San Jose State, Virginia Tech, and Utah, in a game that was never close here on Thursday night. Wake Forest has had a couple of games go down the wire the last 2 rounds after an opening round win over Northeast Louisiana. They went all the way to the end against Texas and Louisville, and Wake Forest trying to beat a #1 seed in the tournament for only the 2nd time. They eliminated #1 DePaul in overtime back in 1984. Jim Burr, John Cal, and Dan Chrisman are trio of officials. Jim Burr to throw the ball in the air. Duncan and McCarty on the jump. Kentucky dressed in white. Duncan controlled the tip, and we're underway.
And the Wildcats straight up man-to-man. Sean McDonough get Duncan some touches. Very important. They double kick it out.
The three-pointer will be a key today. Wake Forest a 42% three-point shooting team, and everyone on the floor can shoot the three for Wake.
And Sean, the amazing thing is they take 2/10 of a point more three-pointers. He's got to find people if he doesn't have it.
And Duncan's turnaround shot spun out to Antoine Walker.
They're going to try and drag Duncan away from the goal.
McCarty with only 2 points in the win over Utah, showing Kentucky's depth. They can win when one of their key players does not have a great game.
They like to pass, get a little bump, get him to the box. For all good. They're going to harass the pass to the post here. He can shoot and find people.
Rusty LaRue tried to feed Duncan, and the pass missed him.
McCarty with some nice hands there. Created the lurch forward for Duncan. Big thing, I believe, for Wake is to play good, solid defense. Make Kentucky take some time on this end. Obviously, be prepared if they do score to set up their offense versus a press. Good cut.
And dealt the layup, and Kentucky has a 2-0 lead.
And more importantly, you got McCarty. They'll show different looks on the ball, off the ball, pressure points. And Duncan's going to help out quite a bit, according to Dave Odom. He could tire him later.
Tony Rutland, the guard of Wake Forest, still bothered by a sprained right knee. Dave Odom said he did not think he would play today, and he's their best ball handler. And the pressure on LaRue and Braswell to handle that press and to hold up under all the minutes. Michelle mentioned the minutes they played 2 nights ago, and they'll go almost the full 40 today, one would suspect.
And they got to be solid. Look at this discard for a 3.
LaRue missed the 3. Here come the Cats. Anderson fouled by LaRue.
Getting back and identifying, so important. 3s, running them down on misses, very important. The ability to use the post rub. Kentucky lifts all help. Everybody high, medium, post. You can't get down from weak side. And Dave Odom, he taught Rick Pitino a lot of things years ago in the 5-star camp. They both were counselors, and of course Howard Garfinkel's turned a lot of guys into the intercollegiate arena. 5 stars where they invite some of the premier athletes as sophomores, juniors to come out and play amongst the best. And coaches get a chance to look at them during the course of the summer.
1 out of 2 at the line from Derek Anderson, and Duncan rebounded the miss.
You mentioned Braswell too, and he's got to be sound. They're going to look like some friends of ours late at night trying to beat the press, staggering over the timeline. It won't be pretty, but there's a Unfortunate play, Ricky Peral. Some theatrics by Derek Anderson.
Dave Odom watched Peral foul out on Thursday night against Louisville. Almost 2.5 minutes into the game, and Wake has not scored. It's 3-0 Kentucky.
Now they're going to permit Walker to take the deep one, and this is nice. They get Allen, unfortunately, on the chug. You've got to body up on the cutter, Sean. Earlier, Delk got free. If you don't brush them, make them take a circuitous route, they're going to get easy goals. And that one, I believe, is on Allen. I'm sure
it was. Dave Odom warned by Jim Burr already. Dave Odom admitted he got very upset with the officiating on Thursday night. Thought it distracted him from coaching his team for a while, particularly after Duncan got his 4th foul. Delk a miss, rebounded by Allen.
And on the inbound, they went 2-3. They may look to that and just identify the deep shooters.
Epps out tightly on LaRue.
Look at them deny the wing.
And a turnover that will lead to an uncontested layup.
Break you down mentally, too. I mean, great denial, harass the passer, no easy trips.
And a free ball. And Epps came from out to in to field it. I believe Dan Chrisman pointed in the wrong direction. He meant to indicate it should be Wake Forest ball, and he did change the call.
I think their half-court defense is as good as their full-court. I mean, everybody thinks the full-court pressure, but they just get after you in that half-court so well.
Dave Odom said yesterday, if we're going to turn the ball over, we have to throw it in the stands. He says the thing that will really kill us is the live ball turnover when we throw it to a Kentucky player and start the break for them, and there's an example of what he was talking about.
And LaRue here with a little nick. They may have to take him out. And a concerned look.
Wife Tammy, and Rusty LaRue's wife, and their infant son Riley.
Nice to see him awake. The players were telling us they haven't seen much of the baby alert. Peral's having some problems. Walter McCarty, a big presence with the hands.
And a long pass intended for Duncan. Well, Wake Forest really struggling against this full court pressure. They've turned it over 4 times, and they still have not scored more than 3 minutes into the game. Delk missed a 3. Allen kept it alive for Peral.
And Wake values the basketball, only 13 a game. But without Rutland, it's a different look. Ooh, cross courts against this team. Oh, electrifying speed.
Stephen Goolsby's come in wearing number 5 for Wake, with LaRue being bandaged on the bench. He's getting ready to check back in now. Braswell trying to get Wake on the board, and he does with a long 3.
And Duncan applauds because he now knows Kentucky's got to get up on the shooters. It might open up some passing lanes to the big fella.
Well, as bad as the start has been for Wake, they're only down 5-3, just more than 4 minutes played.
Trailing those post rubs.
McCarty and Duncan backed off, and it's 7-3. They say the best way to go at a shot blocker is take it right to him,
and that's what Kentucky wanted to do. Bettino very attuned to his presence inside, because if they drag him away, he's not down on that block ready to step in. From Spain in a Duncan out of the Virgin Islands. He is immediately double teamed. As Dave Odom says, there isn't a team that doubles more quickly in the post than Kentucky. Quickest double team, I think, in the country. I've seen college or pros, this Kentucky team. Goolsby's 3, rebounded by Anderson. Epps a quick 3. Silent assassin. Come out of the gate against Utah. Just takes what you give him. That was a 2-point field goal for Epps, and it's 9-3. It was Epps who set the pace. Rick Majerus decided to gamble, had his team play off Epps, and he knocked in some early jumpers to get Kentucky off and running on Thursday night. Duncan snared the rebound, and there's a foul on Kentucky. Fouls on Walter McCarty. Sean Allen's going to get that look because they're doubling off of him. Walter McCarty strong to the bucket, and Kentucky strong early. Kentucky is trying to advance to the Final Four for the first time since 1993. And
for the 11th time in school history. Wake Forest has only been to the Final Four once. That was in 1962. Only the guard named Billy Packer on the team.
Fair. Lead guard. In fact, I said this morning to Billy, they're missing Rudlin and a guy with Packer's ability to lead them. But they've handled decently the pressure. I think the offense has been the problem, acknowledging the double.
Rusty LaRue back in the game. He cut his right elbow with his bandage on the bench. And a turnover. Allen and Goolsby had their signals crossed, and that's 5 turnovers already by the Demon Deacon.
And great communication. Mercer was coming to double Allen to help out on Walker, and Antoine said, stay at home. I can handle it.
Jeff Shepard into the game, wearing number 15. On Mercer also in. He has the ball, 33. McCarty. Great moves in traffic, then he lost the ball. Great hustle by Braswell.
So I think you got to find out if Walter McCarty's going to make that 3. Why go out and make him a better player with the bounce? You got to give some things up against Kentucky. Find out if they can pick it apart. Tough looks. That's Peral's look generally. Allen not the extraordinary passer that Ricky Peral is, and right away Dave Odom gives him the old yank, gets him back in.
Duncan was open, and had that pass been on the money, he had an easy 2 with the defender fronting him. And they defend the 3 of McCarty, so he started to drive. Walker, a sophomore from Chicago, first team all-conference in the SEC, gets it to roll in.
How about that? You mentioned earlier taking it at Duncan. Timmy ought to back up, see if Antoine can make that jumper, but let him prove it this afternoon. Not a good look here.
That's off to Shepard, fouled by Duncan.
Rusty LaRue getting his guys together, and Dave somewhat puzzled. It's incredible how they can harass and make it difficult to find people. Look at the size here. LaRue at a disadvantage, trying to lob to the 7-footer. Not the right angle to do it, and they just complement their press by finishing goals.
The first foul on Duncan. Jeff Shepard trying to finish the 3-point play. Duncan the rebound. Nearly 7 minutes into the game, Wake Forest has scored only 3 points.
But one thing, though, Sean, Wake has not rushed on the offensive end. Try and get this guy some touch, and they don't come and double.
Duncan a fade away as Mark Pope defended, and Pope came up with a rebound. Now Wayne Turner, number 5.
It's relentless, isn't it? The numbers up to 11.
Michelle said during the opening, the 11th player into the game for Kentucky on Thursday night was Ron Mercer, the consensus high school player of the year last year. Only good enough to be number 11 into a regional semifinal game.
And that was yesterday, or 2 days ago. Today he came in early. Goolsby with the reach in on the penetration. But developing players like Antoine Walker, typical Rick Pitino. And they do the same thing with Mercer. Patience, he feels comfortable the way they're doing it.
All 13 Kentucky players played Thursday. No player played more than 25 minutes. Travel. Mercer shuffled his feet as he caught the pass.
And Dave Odom went to that flat 3-2, caused the problem. Mercer didn't put the ball down, and maybe a little wrinkle. You can't just sit back and let this onslaught take place.
Cardi back into the game. Walker's gone to the bench. And a call for a hand check against Wayne Turner, the freshman from Boston.
Well, you need the nickel-dime calls against Kentucky, because if they get away with it, that only accentuates the difficulty of their press.
13-3, Kentucky.
And here's the look they like. Peral high, the 3, or the look. Good kick out.
That's more like the offense they've been hoping for, and Goolsby carries a 3.
Heck of a shooter. We said the other night, over 2,000 points in high school, breaking Ellis's record. Now, if he makes this, it's difficult because Duncan stayed in the zone back there.
Well, that was an effective inbound play that time.
You know, he used to do that. Harry Litwack at Temple. Step out of bounds. Pete Carroll did the same thing. Step out of bounds, step in, give the return.
16-6 Kentucky. Carroll with McCarty jumping out at him. Carroll, a 50% three-point shooter for the year. That one a little bit rushed. Shepard. Another rebound for Duncan, his 5th.
They're not going to get too many second opportunities if he can zone up in there. This is the end. I think you've got to use great intelligence. Run your stuff. If a good one shows early, fine, but don't take bad ones early.
Then a quick double on Duncan.
Look at the reaction, Sean. The great foot speed, the cover area. Corral cross court.
And that's a 3 out of the corner. And he's fouled by Ron Mercer. So Corral will shoot 3 at the free throw line. And Rick Pitino hated the call.
Rick Pitino's guys cover, get in position. Anytime the ball goes down, the Duncan, you see the zone early, they're leaving early. They should ball fake and maybe go cross court. But a great read by Duncan as Peral, who's unerring, as you noted, from deep at 50. Unable to connect. He's had 2 good looks.
Ricky Peral, the junior from Spain, about 2 hours north of Madrid. And in the tournament, he's improved on his averages of the regular season. Averaged just over 9 points per game in the regular season. 71% from 3-point range, or rather from the floor. 6 of 8 from 3-point range in the tournament prior to today.
Valladolid. I know you didn't try it. Spain. Making an impact here in America. Pretty good deep shooter for Wake.
As we mentioned at the outset, this is a battle between teams with contrasting styles. Kentucky, an up-tempo team, full-court pressure, while Wake prefers the half-court game, a lower-scoring game. Kentucky's been blowing out their opponents. Wake Forest has been squeaking by. Much deeper bench for Kentucky.
And I love what Dave Odom said. We got to be ourselves. They're the best in the country at pressure defense. We've got to defeat this pressure defense a certain way. They've struggled a little bit, but once over half court, they've been sound.
16-9 Kentucky.
Turn and face.
9 minutes played. Walker back into the game. And a block by Duncan.
Now that's Walker's game. Now if he goes away and uses the dribble and gets in, he can be a factor against Duncan. But I don't think with his back to the basket low, he's going to dominate.
Duncan had 7 blocks against Louisville on Thursday night. The runner wouldn't go for Braswell, but he was bumped. Earlier today on CBS, Fort Hays State won the Division II national championship. Last night, a surprise, mild surprise, I think, based on the way we've seen Mississippi State play lately. They beat UConn. Cincy, that's a surprise based on the margin of victory. Georgia Tech had been playing well. Great game between Syracuse and Georgia. Dramatic finish to regulation and overtime. And Kansas survived.
I mentioned Billy Packer this morning going over the different brackets with me, and he said Mississippi State was no fluke the way they played. And solid performance. We've seen them at their best in the SEC. Dante Jones lighting it up. Dampier, not a great game. Wilson able to shoot outside, but they got some people, and Bullard apparently played great defense against Ray Allen.
Get the sense Wake Forest is trying to relax and stabilize a little bit. They're back within 5. They were down 10 a moment ago.
And Sean, what I like there, a little pressure pass of get back, give him a different look, challenge the shot here.
Anderson shot way off. Braswell with LaRue, Peral, Allen, and Duncan on the floor for Wake Forest.
It's a survival with Kentucky. You take the first shot, hope you can stand, get back in the ballgame, and right now I think the half-court looks have been much better for them. Peral a little more active. Walker looking to double.
Shot clock 10, an open 3 for LaRue. And the rebound controlled by Delk. That's a shot Wake Forest has to make. They're going to have a chance today. LaRue called for the foul on the reach-in as Anderson went to drive by him, and that's 2 on Rusty LaRue, the only senior on this Wake Forest team.
Now, for a quarterback, that wasn't a good decision by Rusty. Get the small change foul. Let it go if you can't get over there. They are not that deep. Obviously, with Rutland out, the backcourt core not up to snuff.
Anderson, good screen by Polk. Delk.
The extra pass, like stuck in on the post by Walker.
Delk out of the corner. That's a 3.
They rotate it and find a guy.
In talking with the Kentucky seniors yesterday, they said the biggest difference between last year, when they were eliminated in this round, the Elite 8 by North Carolina, and this year is they're a much more unselfish team this year. They played selfishly, they thought, in that game against Carolina and learned their lesson.
They are tough on themselves. Some of their best games are their own workouts, don't you think? You can't simulate the pressure, the quickness of the Cats. Here's the double.
Very quick double.
Allen should get right to the box with Delk.
LaRue had to fire that 3 with the shot clock running out. Allen got a finger on the rebound, could not control. Walker had 3 fouls on LaRue.
Why, Rusty? Oh, let it go. He knows 2, 3. It really makes it difficult for Dave Odom. You mentioned being unselfish. This team complements their full court pressure with the same philosophy on the offensive end. Go for it. Turn, get out in numbers, leak out when you can. And right here, the judgment rather faulty by a guy who's used his head all through his career.
And Walker completes the 3-point play. Has 5 points. And Kentucky has its largest lead, 11 at 22-11.
They've got to do it in pieces. Nice job here. Chuck Daly was at Penn, and they had all starters over 6'5", no dribble, find spots.
LaRue continues in action with 3 fouls. They really don't have any options on the bench with Rutland suffering with a knee injury.
They're doing a great job containing Duncan baseline. That's the only option he has to turn away from the double. I mean, they're so quick and it close.
Once again, they're forced to fire 3 from long range. Allen missed from in close. And it got batted to Walker.
Got to make those, particularly when you're struggling. Spread the floor.
Epps missed a 3. Duncan the rebound. 8 rebounds already for Tim Duncan, and a block call against Anderson. His first. Timeout. Back to Minneapolis in a moment.
Well, Sean McDonough, everybody at home probably wondered, how did they get there so quickly? You see in the left corner, the circle, Antoine Walker not respecting Sean Allen's outside shot. Right here's the double. They take away the baseline, so he can't beat his guy that way. They rotated up, Delk out on Allen, which they didn't do earlier. So a little bit of change makes it tough for Duncan alone to score, much less find somebody.
Wake Forest has had 21 possessions in this game. They've had only 2 field goals, both of them 3-pointers. There are other points from the free throw line. They've not made a 2-point shot yet, more than 12.5 minutes into the game.
They're trying to pose. Good little call here. They had Peral down on the box. I thought he gave up too easily on it with Epps.
Braswell penetrates. Off-balance shot wouldn't go. Duncan among the trees.
Steps.
Travel.
Yeah, over anxious. And boy, Braswell took a hit as he went to the goal. The Delk, not only an offensive player, got the bump to cause the miss, but right here you can see the little happy feet, or unhappy if you're a Wake fan.
After the 9th rebound by Duncan. Had a double-double in his last 8 games in a row. Walker left alone.
And that's the game right there. He doesn't make it, keeps Duncan in the 3-second lane to jam things up.
Still 22-11 Kentucky. They head down towards 6.5 minutes remaining. The winner of this game advances to the Final Four. The Meadowlands of New Jersey. It's batted out of bounds away from Allen.
How about the pro influence with Pitino when you see the double up? Even there, even though Allen's not the big threat that Duncan is, they're still going after it.
Rick Pitino sends Mark Pope back into the game.
You first came upon him at BU, I believe, huh?
Youthful coach. He was a head coach at Boston University at age 25.
$a few million ago. A few victories ago.
Both. Goolsby This runner would not go. Out of bounds. Wake Forest will play it in. Rick Pitino in his 7th season at Kentucky inherited a program on probation. Did a great job to get him to 500 the first year and has averaged 27 wins since.
And Billy Donovan on that Providence NCAA team, and this team much more talented, much deeper. Driven guy, isn't he? I mean, he gets everything out of his guys. Practice full force. No relaxing to get the full shot clock on the kick.
Anderson kicked it. Jim Burr says to Dan Chrisman, I have a foul. So as there was a kick ball, Pope called for a foul. The 6th on Kentucky.
Some sort of a religious connotation having the Pope kicking. The trip to Italy sort of brought this team together, though, in the offseason. Rick let them play games and stay in the hotel where they didn't practice as much as he normally would, just so they could get a feel for one another. Brought the team closer.
Braswell has it rim out. Race for the rebound, McCarty. To Anderson. And he's fouled by Perall. No basket. 2 fouls on Perall.
And Dave Odom talking to Tim Duncan to really get after it. He thought he should have had the ball at the other end. But there's another case of why would Ricky Perall, knowing the lack of depth that Dave Odom possesses, get involved in that? He's got the angle. Let him go. He's got the foot speed to beat you. Just drop back.
2 fouls on Perall. 8 team fouls. So it's Anderson, the transfer from Ohio State, with his 2nd point.
And these 2 pals we mentioned before met at camp, Dave Odom and Rick Pitino, and told both of us he was a high school coach first time he saw Pitino. He was at Hawaii, showed up in his backyard in Durham unannounced.
Wanted to recruit one of Dave Odom's high school players. Came all the way from Hawaii, never even called Odom ahead of time to tell him he was coming.
Marshall Ashworth was the high school player.
Wake's missed its last 8 field goals.
And Dave's touchline on that was, it proves he doesn't get everything he wants.
That's
because
right.
He didn't go to Hawaii.
Well, I'm going to VCU, I believe he said. Allen, slam dunk, and a chance for a 3-point play.
Well, that's the kind of aggressive play. Dave Odom upset at Tim Duncan before because getting loose balls so essential against Kentucky, and unfortunately not a good shortstop, Mark Pope, as he lets that one go. The E lights up on the scoreboard, but Allen a chance to get his club back in with 3 quick ones.
Marshall Ashford, by the way, went to Virginia Tech.
Oh, well, you're so
recruit. And VCU didn't sound right. Had to check the notes. Allen a chance for the 3-point play. And it's 24-14 with 5.5 left in the first half. Allen Delk is first.
Kentucky with the little post rubs again. Give a lot of room for you to do your individual work. They do a lot of breakdown. Quick look. Don't hold on to it too often. Snap passes, crisp cuts.
Strong move by McCarty, and he's fouled by Sean Allen. Dave Odom wanted to travel. Instead, it's the 2nd foul on Allen. So 2 on Allen, 3 on LaRue, 2 on Perall.
The amazing thing about playing Kentucky, you look over the scoreboard, and if you're awake, you're saying, gee, it's not bad, we're only down by 10. I mean, they're so good at scoring in spurts that it's dangerous now. They've communicated Kentucky what they're going to establish in their press against Wake. Face guarding right here, Sean. Everybody straight up. If you go slowly, they won't double. You know, look back dribble, you got to look over the top. Not necessarily to score. Oh, look at the discard in the middle.
Braswell bumped.
And that's what happened earlier. They didn't count it as Delk able to use that chest and strength. And Braswell on the line now as Shepard comes in the game. Earlier, the pressure set up on the free throw by Wake was a passive one.
Out of bounds, and it will be Wake Forest ball.
Offense is deployed well. They've been able to move the basketball solidly once they get up to this end. Key is to get Duncan the ball quickly before the traffic develops. They're not spacing as well as I think as Dave Odom would like. Now he's got his guy, but he's got to make a quick decision as Walker's there already. Now, see, that's the problem. Gets an offensive foul here on the curl. That baseline maneuver totally taken away. The curl from the rear, and Dave beside himself. You almost have to offer up your big guy. Here's the left. Now the job of McCarty is to make sure he seals off the baseline and then gets the help from the top side.
Up 2 on Duncan, 2 on Pearl, 2 on Allen, 3 on LaRue.
Yeah, their front line's decimated right now.
Missed by Walker. 26-14. The game certainly has slowed the pace that Wake Forest would like. They have to start creating shot opportunities and making them.
And what they're doing is they're starting, nice pass here, the little interior release. I think they're starting Duncan so low. When he comes out high and then screens down or gets a back screen, they might be able to get him the quick hitter. And those are the adjustments they're gonna have to take place at halftime. That was a nice counter getting Pearl on the other box. And Dave, looking at the committee here, we've seen that from a lot of coaches, Sean.
Yes, we have.
As they criticize the whistle. The committee can't help them now. The committee helps you to get in, maybe, if your record's good enough. McKinley Boston, the athletic director, now VP at Minnesota.
Pearl with the free throws. 10-point game. Back in a moment.
Back in Minneapolis, where unfortunately Sean McDonough is not feeling well, and hopefully will be back with us in the second half. But a much better looking partner, I might add, from Aviation High School, a 2-guard, and UCal Berkeley, Michelle Tafoya. Michelle, thanks for jumping in.
Thanks for jumping all over my schools and promoting my alma maters. Let's take a look at our game summary so far at this time. Turnovers telling the story. Wake Forest, 9 of them, and UK just 2, and the scoring off those turnovers, again, Kentucky 8-0.
And the amazing thing, Michelle, is the ability, half-court defense by Kentucky. Normally, they're prolific in forcing you to turn the ball over, but they've been solid on the defensive end, half-court. Now, Wake seems to have more confidence in their defense. They had a couple of zone trips, the man-to-man now, effective off the dribble, and no inside game to speak of for Kentucky. Nice play by Shepard. Look at the quick hit. Oh, is that pretty?
Again, the turnovers, the quick score. Typical Kentucky basketball. Rusty LaRue trying to get the ball across the timeline, and does. Draws the double team.
Well, they would be great on Wall Street, huh? they turn an investment into quick riches, and there's another inadvertent turnover, and that's off the half-court offense. But you want to press, you feed it. And this is exactly what Kentucky does. Turn it into a quick hitting deuce.
11 turnovers by Wake Forest at this point in the game. 3:05 remaining in the first half in Minneapolis. Walker trying to get the easy 2, doesn't make it easy. Tim Duncan right there on top of him.
And Michelle, when they get past half court and the touches go inside, you would expect the 3-point shots, but the recovery ability of Kentucky's extraordinary. Double on the box, get out on the shooter.
Braswell. And now LaRue. Again, LaRue, 3 fouls early in this ball game.
You notice they just don't get the look for Farrell and the little patented jump hook, a little force out further away from that ideal spot to deliver it. Solid dig.
And Antoine Walker with another rebound. The quick pass inside, and 2 more for Shepard, who had flu-like symptoms yesterday. Seems to be doing all right now. 4 points for Shepard.
Well, Kentucky gives a lot of people a flu, don't they? Those high little post rubs. The guards get free underneath. The big guys can't react. Plus the ability to knock shots down. A lot of them layups.
Again, Braswell handling the point duties for Tony Rutland, out with the knee injury.
They got the duck in if they want. Look at this. Does he draw people?
But a foul called on the Wildcats.
The ability to find. Rick Pitino's guys, he felt all this year, are unselfish. Shepard, one of the terrific athletes on this team, with a little bit of a post-up. And down on this end, oh, you have the same problem when you walk into a room. A lot of people are attracted to you. They come in a hurry.
Not that quickly. Again, Tim Duncan still scoreless in this first half, 0 for 3 from the field, but 9 rebounds. He'll have an opportunity to put his first point on the board right now. And Antoine Walker with his first foul in the game, and even from the stripe, Duncan isn't able to convert in his first attempt. Makes the second, and that is the first point in the ball game for Tim Duncan.
And defensively, he's been able to stay inside. His matchup is McCarty. Now, let's see, they go a little zone now, Michelle. And they get a kick on this one.
1:31 remaining in the first half here in Minneapolis.
Kick gives them a new shot clock. They ideally like to zone the inbounds. Big front line there. Well, look at the alley-oop anyhow.
Braswell trying to drive to the hoop. Can't get there. Kicks out to LaRue, who tried to take a shot but stumbled. And Epps can't get it to go, but McCarty right there for the putback.
They come in waves. They don't let their partner. They get a technical foul on Dave Odom right now. Brendan Brown up to try and calm him down. On breakaways, a lot of teams, the guy will finish it. Not Kentucky. They play it as though they're not sure whether it's going to go in or not. Great support, and that's your big guy too, McCarty, able to tip to himself and finish. And I think Odom felt McCarty was over the top.
Epps makes the first of the 2 free throws. They look like they're halfway there, and they almost are.
Well, they want to go east. You can see that in the way they played this tournament. The SEC, Rick Pitino said, championship that they lost may have been a good thing for them. A different looking team, much more aggressive, confident, extremely unselfish.
Epps made both of those free throws. He, another one who felt foolish yesterday, and a foul call.
And LaRue inside with his 4th foul, if it is him.
Or they were already lacking depth in their backcourt. That really hurts Wake Forest. Coming up on Pennzoil at the half, Pat O'Brien, George Raveling, and special guest Duke head coach Mike Krzyzewski will get you updated on all the tournament news, plus a preview of the East Regional Final between Georgetown and UMass. And sharpen your pencils for an NCAA tournament quiz. That's all coming up on Pennzoil at the half.
And Rusty unable to perform up to his snuff, the fumble pass. And that's what they do. They get into your psyche. There's the front position now. They let the inbounder alone. Somebody's got a post. And if you dribble into an ideal trap like that, nice little hesitation by Goolsby.
Just under a minute, about 50 seconds to go in this first half. Corral's shot no good. Wake manages to hang on to it. An inside look to Duncan, kicks right out.
Good, solid release. That's the area he's got to exploit, not on the box. It's tougher to figure where to come with the double when he's in the 3-second lane. Screen down, set up. Rick Pitino wants the 20, but that's what Dave Odom has to do at halftime. Come up with something to get the basketball to Duncan in an area where he can do some damage, whether it's personally or on the kick.
Let's take a look at Tim Duncan's numbers. Just 1 point, the nice 9 rebounds on a block, but no offense yet from Tim Duncan.
Well, once he touches it, the quickness to cover and the reaction off the ball by Pitino's guys makes it very difficult. And one thing Dave Odom said is, we'll take a look at what he did against Utah. It's easier to take a big guy away, and he's showing that this evening. This is his numbers the other night.
A remarkable game. He's only taken 3 field goal attempts in this first half. And Kentucky on a 12-3 run at the moment. 21 seconds remaining in the first half.
And Anderson out front. He's a slasher, good with the bounce. Peral at a disadvantage. Peral with the 2 personal fouls as well. Has to be careful. Drive, draw, and kick.
See almost no difference on the shot clock and game clock, and another easy deuce for Kentucky.
Well, like everything else in Kentucky, speed wins, huh? Bloodlines and a finishing kick. The Cats on fire.
That is the end of the first half with the score Kentucky 38, Wake 19. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Pontiac, Burger King, Gillette Sensor Excel, and by U.S. Postal Service. CBS Sports presents Pennzoil at the Half, sponsored by Pennzoil. For more engine miles, Pennzoil works like liquid ball bearings.
And welcome to Pennzoil at the Half. I'm Pat O'Brien, along with the coach, George Reveling, and the coach, Mike Krzyzewski. Gentlemen, how you doing? Nice to see you. 38-19 is the score, and the good news is for Wake Forest?
Well, from a positive standpoint, Pat, Wake is controlling the tempo. They've held Kentucky 9 points under their average for a half. Kentucky came into the game averaging 47 points in the first half. The negative side is that technical foul really hurt them. And number 2, they cannot get Duncan in the offense.
Mike?
I just think the last minute and 10 seconds was disastrous for Wake Forest because overall they've been playing fairly well in spite of foul trouble. Now they're in real serious foul trouble, and I'm not sure if they're going to they're going to be able to handle this.
And Kentucky kicking it in from all sides of the court. They put so much pressure on the opponent.
Yeah, they do. And let's take a look here. Rusty LaRue is getting ready to shoot right here. And look at Walker put pressure on him. Now watch when LaRue shoots. There's pressure on the shot. Now after he shoots, look at Walker. Right here, he's like a sprinter. He's ready to go down the court. Now watch what happens when Kentucky gets the rebound. They throw the long pass. They complete it, and they get the three-point play. That's demoralizing when that happens, Pat. It's just very difficult.
And everyone talks about how demoralizing Kentucky's offense could be. What about their defense?
Well, take a look here. The main guy for Wake Forest is Tim Duncan. He's in the low post. They're going to get a pass into him. Now watch when that pass goes, what Kentucky does. They double team. This is the story defensively in the first half for Kentucky. He has nowhere to go, and this is frustrating him. This is late in the half, and watch Duncan foul in this case.
And instead of looking for baskets, he's looking for people there. He's got 1 point on the day.
That's why he has it, Pat.
Yeah, okay, good job. Coming up next, it's the East Regional Final between UMass and Georgetown. For more on that game, here's Gus Johnson and Quinn Buckner.
The Georgia Dome in downtown Atlanta, side of the East Regional Final, where number 2 seed Georgetown is all set to take on number 1 seed UMass. Hello, everybody. Glad you can be with us here at the Georgia Dome. I'm Gus Johnson. Now, it's quiet at the current time, but in a little while, it's going to be crazy here in Atlanta. This game features 2 stars, Allen Iverson and Marcus Camby, and each coach is worried about defending them. Let's start with John Calipari.
He's going to get his numbers. He's a great player. He's going to shoot 20, 25, 30 times. If he's really hot, we're going home. What we're trying to do is just make the game hard for him, make it difficult so that he doesn't make 20 out of 25 shots.
Well, if there's a key, it's Marcus. I mean, you've got to play him. I think he block shots and clog up the middle. It helps them an awful lot defensively to put pressure outside in their half-court sets defensively. And offensively, he's a factor. He can face, he can post, he's a good passer. You know, so you've got to factor on him first and then see where you go from there. And that's difficult because he's a great player.
Well, they're going to press us. We've got to attack the press and try to score. Obviously, we want to play it more of a half-court game, but they'll come out and trap in the half-court of 1-3-1. They'll trap out of their zone and do things to make the game more of a helter-skelter game.
We like to press. We want to get out and run and try to let our defense cause some things to happen for us so offensively we can get down.
I just would say that we've got to do what we've done all year. Play UMass basketball, play fast, try to score quickly. If it's not there, make them play in a half court.
And joining me now, my partner, Quinn Buckner. And Quinn, playing UMass basketball, let's get the ball to the big fella.
Oh, no question. Marcus Camby is the player of the year. You know you got to get some offense from him, but if you're Georgetown, you like to press. They're led by their first-team All-American, Allen Iverson. I expect him defensively to be very active.
This is the first meeting between these two teams, the winner to go to the Final Four. Now let's go back to New York, where our Pat O'Brien is standing by.
All right, Gus, thank you, QB. We'll see you in a little bit. Break down the game for me, George, quickly.
Well, from Georgetown's standpoint, number one, they want to get Camby in foul trouble. Number two, they must make their foul shots, Pat, because they're not a good foul shooting team. From UMass's standpoint, they want a potent three-point production in there, and they also want to try to get Iverson in foul trouble.
They'd love to open up the floor for Allen Iverson, too, as well. Mike, you?
Yeah, Allen Iverson is the key. For Georgetown, can he have the freedom to run? From UMass, will they come up and make him come back to get the ball and make him use more time? And there are going to be some guys who are going to get boards that we haven't talked about very much. The Dana Dingles of the world for both teams.
All right, we hope everybody sticks around and enjoys Kentucky in this game and then sticks around for what a good game that's going to be. We've already crowned a champion today, and we have an undefeated team. Fort Hays State beat Northern Kentucky 70-63. The Fort Hays State Tigers look to become the only third Division II team to go undefeated in the season. Sharik Simpson fills the passing lane there and in for the jam, and Coach Ken Shields from Northern Kentucky looks on and says, Paul Cluxton kicks it to Andy Listerman, buries the three for a one-point lead, and then Fort Hays' Jeremy Keister. He's there for the putback. Watch this work inside. And the Tigers win the D2 championship, Division II, this afternoon on Indeed, 34-0, and they are national champions. Congratulations to Fort Hays State. In women's basketball, Tennessee beat Kansas today. 92-71 was the final there. The Lady Vows looking ready to jump into the Final Four. Tennessee dominated the whole game right from the top as Shamiqua Holdsclaw buries a deuce from the left wing, and Pat Summitt looks on. And then Latina Davis says, swoop to the hoop, a la Cheryl Swoops. And Tennessee goes on and dominates in this game, 92-71. In the East Regional semifinal, Virginia beat Old Dominion 72-60 in that game. The Cavaliers hope to pound their way into the Final Four. Texas Tech and Louisiana Tech, they had a brain lapse there. 66-55 was the final on that one. And also the Midwest Regional semifinal, Georgia and Stephen F. Austin, 78-64. And we want to update one of our own, Sean McDonough, who was sick with the flu early in the first half, and Michelle Tafoya took over for him. Questionable now, we're told, for the second half. So, Sean, wherever you are, and we think we know where you are, we hope you're going to be fine, and we hope to have you back soon. Feel better. Thanks for watching Pennzoil at the Half. Coming up, Sean McDonough and Bill Raftery and Michelle Tafoya. We hope that Sean is there for the second half of the Midwest Regional Final. We'll see you later. Enjoy the game.
Pennzoil at the Half was sponsored by Pennzoil. For more engine miles, Pennzoil works like liquid ball bearings.
We'll return to Minneapolis after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Chevrolet Trucks, Michelob Beer, Michelin, and by Pennzoil.
We welcome you back. I welcome myself back to the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis. Kentucky at halftime by 19 over Wake Forest. Sean McDonough with Michelle Tafoya and Bill Rafter. Michelle, I want to thank you for turning me into the Wally Pipp of play-by-play announcers.
We're happy to have you back, Sean.
Her background came out.
It did.
The player in her.
Always ready and able to serve, and trying to serve Wake Forest, Bill, is Tim Duncan, but as we've talked about from the start, they've done a great job, Kentucky, double-teaming him.
Well, we doubled up on the play-by-play position, and they doubled up on Duncan down in this box area. The move over quickly, the reaction, the non-stop, the rotation, the ability to communicate. You can see right here the double, not much of a chance to get it in here. The reaction by this Kentucky team, and when the ball is thrown up for grabs, they're almost in the passing lane. The force of a tough shot late in the shot clock sequence. What are they doing? They're ready to turn it up a notch the other way. You don't balance the floor. Here's a little small changer on Rusty LaRue, as we've seen, has 4 fouls in that first half. Really puts Wake in a difficult position.
Only 4 field goals in the half for Wake Forest. They had 3 times as many turnovers. And both teams shot well from the line. A lot of work to do for Wake Forest, and they're really not the kind of team, Bill, that can turn it into an up-tempo game trying to get back in, and that could be suicidal.
I think they got to be basic. That's what they have to do. Play within themselves, and on the offensive end, I think they get Duncan the ball in different spots. Well, they zoned it up a little bit, and he chose that little baseline. Duncan didn't want to come out. Look at the hands. Oh.
And then Duncan with good hands to block the pass by Epps. Tony Delk with 9 points in the game now, and he needs 13 to tie Jamal Mashburn for 4th place on the all-time Kentucky scoring list. Tony's already the highest scoring guard in UK history.
Key is where they get Duncan involved, and he's blocking low early. Look at the space. Epps ready help. They're quick. Yeah.
Braswell, that's a 3. And 8 points for Braswell.
Now, they must have seen that spot open, the top of the key. You got identified. Tony. 3 threes.
And 12 for Delk as he continues to close in on Jamal Mashburn.
Oops. And that's the difficulty. You've got to always have somebody in mind. When you speed dribble, they step up. And the problems for Wake, getting something out of the double. Jerry Braswell steps in, knocks it down. And the difficulty right now is getting a post guy and being patient with the dribble in the backcourt.
Delk to Anderson on the floor with Epps, McCarty, and Walker for Kentucky.
And Duck looking to post up down there.
Anderson pulls it out. Kentucky so far in the tournament has forced their opponents into 76 turnovers. Their opponents have only made 81 field goals.
Amazing. Look at that. Finally, Duncan gets a piece of one in here. And they get LaRue. No, they give it to Perrault.
Had it been LaRue, he would have fouled out. Instead, it's on Perrault, and it's his 3rd.
Now, Rick Pitino went 1-4 on Perrault. Derek Anderson had beaten him at the beginning of the half. And right in here, the challenge by Derek Anderson. And Duncan, who hasn't had too many opportunities, they've beaten him other ways without getting Tim involved.
Delk, long, rebounded by Sean Allen.
Now, Perrault should be able to get some looks over Anderson outside. He's size-wise. Kick it out. Look at the speed to the ball by Anderson.
Delk to Anderson for the easy 2.
They can make good teams look like they were beginners. It's not that you are not hustling. It's they give it the extra push. Maybe the Pitino surge.
And this is the largest lead for UK. 23 points at 45-22. Braswell's runner wouldn't go. Anderson the rebound.
And you're totally out of control when you take shots like that against Kentucky. Gives them a chance to take up the push and the 3.
Dave Odom wants a timeout. 20-second timeout, exactly 3 minutes into the second half, and Kentucky leads by 26.
Timmy Duncan does get 3 turnovers a game, and this is one where you don't get a good passing lane. The hustle, the speed, the unselfish play, all those ingredients which has Kentucky on the march to the Meadowlands. You collapse, they get a lot of their threes on turnovers and breakouts. You get the deep back, you can't step out quick enough to play Anderson. That's what you feel like you're doing, huh? A little left, a little right. Feel like you fought Tyson for 2 halves.
Kentucky 31-2 coming into this game, and all but 2 of their victories this season have been double-digit wins. Only 2 of their wins by 10 points or less. 5-point game against Georgia and a 7-point game against Indiana. Everybody else has lost by double digits to this Kentucky team.
And early on, as they go to double, they finally get a quick look baseline. They negate the shot. They had some problems. Dimitri Hill comes to mind with centers. Now, Dimitri not the 6'10", 6'11" type like Duncan. Dampier did not hurt them in the SEC final in an offensive way, but they seem to just take things that people say you can't do certain, then all of a sudden they wipe that out. You've got to have some counters, and Wake thus far has not been able to find that counter.
Then Perall has suffered a cut above his right elbow, just as LaRue did in the first half. Kentucky team battering and bloodying the Wake Forest club.
It's almost like being a TKO with all the blood, huh? LaRue had some. It just puts you back on your heels.
Duncan knocked to the deck by McCarty. Clean play, going for the block. Instead, he caught the arm of Duncan. He gave Tim a pat on the back as Duncan passed by.
And what amazes you with all the rotating and doubling, they don't permit offensive rebounding very often, but you can just see it was Epps' responsibility, and he's at a little bit of a disadvantage. Tim Duncan stepped up.
Duncan with only 1 point today, now 2 to go along with 10 rebounds and 2 blocked shots. Unless the score changes in a hurry, there will be speculation from the Wake Forest perspective after the game about whether or not Tim Duncan has played his final game at Wake Forest. He's a junior. There has been some speculation he'd come out early for the draft, and he might well be the first pick in the draft should he come out. For one, the Minnesota Timberwolves general manager Kevin McHale has been openly salivating about the prospect of Duncan as a Timberwolf.
And the one thought that jumps out, Dave Odom, a lot of college coaches sort of, I'll be in on that decision. Dave Odom said it's up to Tim and his family, and so far no mention.
Let's check in with the very versatile Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Sean. Well, the Wake Forest training staff informs me that Ricky Perall, who's getting ready to come back in, just took a fingernail to the bicep, a small cut. They've bandaged him up and readied him for play. Kind of like you, Sean.
Hope he feels better than I do.
Well, at least Sean doesn't have to handle against the Kentucky press. A lot of people have gotten sick or under the weather playing against Rick Pitino's
I don't think
guys.
I'd return to the game if I had to be out there playing against them. Fouls on Allen Edwards, his first, and LaRue goes out as Perall comes back in. Nearly 4 minutes into the second half, and Kentucky leads by 26.
And how close are they to getting past? Look at the recovery now. Not 1, 2 guys step up in the lane. They got the big people in the back to protect, and Perall can't get that deep look.
And he got the charitable bounce off the rim. 7 points for Perall. Wake Forest has not posted a victory in its history over Kentucky. The Demon Deacons 0-3 all-time against Kentucky. Foul called by Goolsby, and he didn't like it. Duncan had the ball cleanly from behind.
You need every break, huh?
2 fouls on Goolsby.
Well, one of the philosophies is lead him to Timmy Duncan. And Goolsby trying to help on that offside, got nailed with it. But Kentucky does find some people generally, too. A little personality in Mount Carmel, Chicago, McDonald's All-American, and developing a total game, whether it's with the dribble or posting up.
Near the conclusion of every NCAA tournament game, we'll select a genuine Chevrolet most valuable player of the game from each team. To date, Chevrolet has contributed almost $5.5 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities. And a TV timeout with 15:38 remaining, and Kentucky leading by 26. Sean McDonough with Bill Raftery and Michelle Tafoya back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Kentucky doubled up Wake Forest on the scoreboard. Georgetown and UMass in the East Regional Final from Atlanta, 6 Eastern time here on CBS.
They do such a nice job switching when you screen against the nice step through by Braswell. They get a post guy, and now it comes another pressure point.
Everywhere you look, a pressure point against this Kentucky defense. Epps guarding Braswell. Now Allen.
Now look at them switch. Nice duck in. Pope with great defensive maneuvering.
Shot clock down to 4 as Duncan got it back. They need a shot. They didn't get it off.
Well, everything falling apart, huh?
Yep.
All the scramble. Patino ball down and dirty.
And Bill, it's one thing to do this, what Kentucky is doing, to San Jose State, not to speak ill of them.
No.
They were the 16th seed, but this is the #2 seed in the region, one of the top teams in the country, the ACC tournament champs. Kentucky is doing this to.
And Rick Majerus was devastated what they did to his team, who's back-to-back WAC titles. And it's just extraordinary how they're disturbing with their defensive reactions, and they complement it with these surges to the offensive glass.
Edwards, the explosive move to the bucket, but then he missed. It certainly gives you a greater appreciation of what UMass and Mississippi State did in defeating Kentucky, the kind of game they had to play to beat this team.
Extraordinary. Dante Jones had to have a career game, and it tells you how tough UMass is also. Everybody not really paying a whole lot of attention of where they finally get a little open look, as UMass systematically at the end of the year did enough to win games. And if people sort of forgot how tough they are. The guards are solid, the forwards, the bookends, Bright and Dingle.
And Shepard answers Goolsby's 3 with a 3 for UK.
See, all these bodies up here now are a problem. It helps the defense. They migrate to the ball.
55-29 Kentucky. Just under 14 minutes remaining. The winner goes to the Final Four. Duncan still has not made a field goal in this game for Wake Forest.
And this is the play where they usually get it to him in the 3-second lane, but Pope met force with force. They go box to box. They just can't get it to him.
Braswell, the handoff to Duncan. And Pope contested it. Duncan put a shot back up. Dave Odom thought there was a foul. Duncan now 0 for 5 officially. He's been in double figures in scoring in every game this year except his head-to-head matchup with Marcus Camby up in Amherst, Massachusetts, when he was held to 9 on the night when Camby outplayed him.
I think you got to get the big guy to the foul line, though. Huh? Give him a whistle or two. Let him feel part of this. You know, I found a flaw in Kentucky.
What is it?
They are not utilizing their secondary trap in the press. So once you beat the initial surge, Rick's got to work on it.
Oh, obviously, it's a major flaw.
It's oh.
Carroll's 3 has given him 10 points. The 5th three-pointer for Wake Forest, and an offensive foul called against Pope for a clear out. Mentioned Georgetown and UMass coming up at 6 Eastern time, about an hour from now. Georgetown eliminated Texas Tech in a battle of stamina, a game that went over 2.5 hours, and UMass had an easy time with Arkansas.
And as you take a look at Coach Pitino getting his team ready for the Final Four, he had an audience with the Pope and asked the Pope if he could kiss his ring. And then the Pope said, could I kiss your ring? He said, I don't have one yet.
Now, I've heard that story several times. Is that a true story? I mean, we know Kentucky went to Italy over the summer. Goolsby. He buries a 3. So Wake Forest is starting to heat up from three-point land, but it's Awfully late for that. Pope, an air ball. It's 57-35. Kentucky leads by 22 with 12 minutes remaining.
They can ever establish this guy. There's that hook.
Well, Rick Pitino wants a timeout. It's down to 20, and he's concerned enough to use the timeout. And he says make it a 20.
Rick, very uncomfortable when it gets near 20. He coaches the same in a summer league game. Dave Odom said he gets after kids in camp when he was a youngster, but here, the patented hook, one of the few times the defense tardy, and that's what Rick Pitino's after. The lack of reaction on the double-up.
Earlier today, Fort Hays State beat Northern Kentucky for the Division II National Championship. Last night, Mississippi State and Cincinnati were the winners in Lexington. Out in Denver, Syracuse beat Georgia in overtime. Kansas came from 3 down late to beat Arizona. Here, Tim Duncan has just made his first field goal of the game. He has 5 points and 11 rebounds. And Rick Pitino's team has a 20-point lead with 11:56 remaining. Wake has scored the last 6 points.
And one thing about Kentucky, they do shoot quickly. They're not a team that's going to run the shot clock down, so you just got to stay in your position. Defense, don't gamble. Look at they go to Mercer on the post up. Great help.
Swatted by Goolsby and went out of bounds. Last touch by Kentucky. And now a full timeout.
Timeout on the floor.
Coming up tomorrow on CBS Sports, it's a full day of great action. It all starts at noon Eastern with the CBS Sports Show featuring Alpine World Cup skiing from Lillehammer. Then at 1:30, the top players and coaches of the year honored at the Boost Naismith Awards. Following the road to the Final Four, the regional final doubleheader, Syracuse takes on Kansas, then Mississippi State and Cincinnati. It all comes your way tomorrow, only on CBS Sports.
And look at them step up the pressure in the backcourt. Rag guys, make them use the dribble. Playing Kentucky is so difficult. They take you out of your action. Now, some counters have been provided for Duncan. There's a little more motion, setting up box to box with that weak side help. Here's one of the few high lows.
And Pope and Walker contested, and the foul is on Mark Pope, and that's his third. Good catch by Duncan in traffic.
Rick looking at his assistants there, Jimmy O'Brien, but one of the mainstays of their offense is to get it to the top of the key, look down, and Duncan able to do some damage. He had a kick-out pass. They spotted up Braswell a little better. So Dave Odom not sitting there at halftime, come up with some adjustments.
Pope to the bench with 3 fouls. Kentucky's been called for 5 this half, and Duncan's first free throw rimmed out. Tim has 5 points.
Watching Kentucky decimate this NCAA field, it's sort of reminiscent of my coaching career. We were usually out of the game before the pregame prayer.
You played the role of Wake Forest and Utah. Played in this tournament every night, regardless of the opponent.
It didn't matter. And it's just an amazing facility this team has. The stamina and energy. I think they're the best shape of any team in the country, Sean. Just a relentless nature.
Duncan rebounds the miss. Wake is chipping away. They're on a 9-0 run now. Largest lead was 28. They have it down to 19 with some time left. 10:40 showing on the game clock.
And why not get Duncan involved a little bit so he's been able to find. Look at the zone up by Walker. And this is the first time Corral's had a good look this half.
Goolsby the follow-away. And Anderson the push.
And this is where they're tough on the 3.
Right on cue. Delk buries the 3. He has 15.
And right away, the defensive energy of T. Delk. They drive you back with the dribble. And all of a sudden, 5 dark shirts in the lane, and 0-0 provides endless relief with the deep tray.
And Duncan showing ball handling skills.
And look at the recovery, though. Delk back to play Peral. They complement the energy in the backcourt.
Braswell guarded in the man-to-man by Delk. Epps on LaRue. Played this whole second half with 4 fouls. As LaRue.
They get the back screen and then Duncan. So they're doing some more things. They're running around. Nice play by Walker.
And Delk gets it back to Antoine Walker. Goolsby the rebound. Still a 22-point game. Kentucky with the lead. 9:37 remaining. And Anderson and Peral got tangled up, and the foul is on Anderson. His second. These are exciting times for basketball fans in the northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area. Cincinnati wins last night in Lexington. Kentucky playing here. Northern Kentucky in the Division II championship game of the day. And Georgetown College, only about 10 miles away from the University of Kentucky, played for the NAIA championship and lost. A lot of great basketball in a relatively small radius.
A bastion of basketball prowess and interest. And there's that Cincy Mississippi State bracket southeast. The power of Huggins' guys against Georgia Tech. And Mississippi State a lot better. The unknown entity to a lot of people in the country, not the pollsters or people who want to follow the game. They do have some capabilities.
Seems like they played much of the year trying to get Dante Jones acclimated to the
Richard Williams.
to Richard Williams and to the Division I level. He's obviously a great talent, and now he really seems to be meshing with his teammates.
I say that because we were down there in Starkville, and Richard was all over him because he wasn't making the extra pass. In fact, they developed a philosophy. The first time you touch it, you got to give it up. So he gets the puppy set coming off the bus.
Delk hit his puppy set and buried another 3. And he's closing in on Jamal Mashburn now. Tony is 18 points today, needs 4 to tie Mashburn for 4th place on the all-time UK scoring list. The only players ahead, Dan Issel, number 1, then Kenny Walker and Jack Givens. The nucleus of a pretty good team. Stripped was Duncan after he rebounded Braswell's miss.
And before he, now look at the alley-oop.
And Braswell went up to contest it with McCarty.
To Walter's altar. Couldn't finish the mass.
Duncan down the lane. He's tangled up with Epps.
Did you see him pick him up, though?
Yep.
He's really a stylish young guy. The Fab Five is something you hear from Michigan. The original Fab Five, back in the 40s for Kentucky, believe it or not. Rupp Schruntz, another one that came on later. Just such great history of basketball. The Unforgettables, the Fiddlin' Five, all those terrific names.
Of course, you played with and against many of those people.
Well, I remember reading about them. A few of them. Alex Groza, Wawa Jones, Beard, pretty good. One of Rupp's early teams. It's a religion down there. Wendell Ford, a U.S. Senate minority whip, said basketball is like a religion. You're either saved or lost.
LaRue, a long 3. That was from Duluth. First points of the game for Rusty LaRue. He averages 10.3 per game.
And taken out of the game with the fouls. One of the reasons, too. Showing a lot of style, a lot of heart.
Kentucky by 18. Goolsby a reach in. He didn't expect Walker to turn in his direction. And that's 3 fouls on Stephen Goolsby, the sophomore from Marietta, Georgia. Better than 30,000 on hand here at the Metrodome. And they've watched Kentucky put on another clinic, shooting 50%, causing 18 turnovers. Tony Delk, the leading scorer. And Tim Duncan, despite the struggles and the constant double teaming, has managed a double-double, his 9th in a row and his 24th in 32 games this year. An 18-point game.
And when you're the center, Sean, it's important that others find. Nice penetration by Shepard, doesn't finish. They got to find you. I mean, you're down there. They're obviously the game plan is don't get him the touches he demands. A little double screen, bring him outside, huh? Let Peral test the waters down low.
Guarded by Pope, and the Demon Deegan bench thought there should have been a foul there.
And the most disappointing guy in the building, Tony Rutland.
Yeah.
Just a shame with that knee problem at the end of the year. And what a classy guy to chat with. Nice play by LaRue, causes the turnover by Edwards. But we had a chance after the game the other night, and he said, I'm just going to root for my guys. It's disappointing. He was always the other guard. Iverson was the lead guard in high school. He was the other guard. Childress last year, he was the other guard. And the difficulty next to him, Ricky Stokes, a terrific guard at Virginia. And chatting with him as well, that this guy's disproven everybody. They didn't think he could do what he did this year in a league full of great guards. Marbury, Dean, just to name a few.
There must have been some backcourt at Bethel High School in Hampton, Virginia. Allen Iverson and Tony Rutland. Pope. Top shot, and he made it with Peral leaning on him. And it's back to an 18-point lead for Kentucky. Wake Forest has trimmed 10 points off its largest deficit. Goolsby in transition, and the Demon Deacons within 15.
They got their first break, too. The feet were on the line. But Kentucky, as noted, will keep forcing the eye. I mean, they don't really slow down. How about that move? He took a hit, too, Walter. Comes up a little gamey.
Wake on a 10-2 run over the last 3 minutes. McCarty trying to walk it off. 4 fouls now on Peral after the Goolsby 3.
And Stephen, maybe gotten a little touch on the line to get away with that one. And McCarty, one of those guys that can bring the offense out, put it on the floor, can make the 3, lets the little guys post up. The mentality of this team, the seniors sort of dictate. Unselfish play. Let's give of one another. They don't care who scores. He had 15 minutes the last game. Wasn't really a factor. They won anyhow.
16-point game.
Cross court, they got it.
Peral for 3. Wake Forest on the comeback trail. Now within 13 points and still 5:37 remaining.
And Patino does the obvious. He goes for the seasoned guys, Anderson, Walker, and Epps.
They're at the table getting ready to check in. Pope, strong move inside. Duncan forced a stop, and then he stopped the second one. And on the alternating possession, it goes back to the Demon Deacon.
And Duncan is a guy who could force a Pope to change his religion. He can dominate. He doesn't go for the fake. Patience and the ability to elevate.
Timeout, Kentucky.
Davey Odom, Sean McDonough didn't get this team to the ACC championship without doing some changes. Spacing. Oh, stretch the D, and that time Duncan finds Peral, who's been subdued. They've been up on him. He has been unable to get the opportunity shots.
Wake Forest getting back into it with a 3-point shot. 7 out of 8 this half. Braswell in trouble.
Pretty.
And they get 10 more seconds to get it over half court. That had taken 7 seconds, but they get a fresh 10 count. They're on a 24-9 run since Kentucky took its largest lead at 57-29 with 13:05 left. That time, Duncan lost it in front of the Kentucky bench.
Now, this is why you don't ask a big guy to do a lot of things. He went between his legs, and Davey, I'm sure the drill has been used. That's better suited for guys who are better equipped. Adroit with the bounce.
McCarty in the delt. He took a pretty good bump from Braswell. Epps, Anderson, and Walker also on the floor for Kentucky.
And a little more hop in the Wake Forest defense. Quicker to the ball.
And the shot clock down to 12. Game clock at 4:45 remaining, and Kentucky leads by 13.
And this is not their game to go late in the shot clock. End up with a tough one. They get the, well, almost get a tip.
Duncan got the rebound as Epps missed the running one-hander. 16 rebounds for Duncan.
And the mismatch inside, they're looking to help on Anderson. Now they switch back. McCarty's got him.
1-4 set for Wake Forest. Peral in for Duncan. Blocked, but a foul call.
Davey moving guys around a little bit. Peral with the high post. Each elbow's got a postman, and then you see Duncan move himself down, the duck in, and he just shields off. The defense doesn't get there. Anderson a little slower. Not the attention to detail right now by Kentucky.
And it's a 12-point game, Georgetown and UMass coming up next in the East Regional Final. UMass trying to get to its first ever Final Four. And the Demon Deacons closer still, 11 points down.
Nice screen for Delk. Wow.
He's had a huge game. 20 points now for Tony Delk. 4 minutes left.
They come up with a nice set play, Sean. Easy. Gary.
And Goolsby took it back and shoots up 3. And Parole tipped it for Braswell.
A nice comeback by Braswell, too. Gets Duncan back underneath. Tough match for Walker down there, too.
They don't want to take quick shots, Bill, but they're almost in a situation now where they have to. With time running out, Duncan fouled as he was trying to accept the pass. Walker called for the foul, his 3rd.
Oh, they find the pass to the top there, right by the foul. And now look at this strength. And Walker at a disadvantage. More of a forward defender. Gets locked under the tin where you can't do much damage.
And McCarty goes out, replaced by Pope. 9 team fouls against Kentucky, so in the next one it'll be an automatic 2 free throws the rest of the way for Wake.
And that Pope in there to play Duncan.
Tonight on CBS, Dr. Quinn, medicine woman, touched by an angel. Walker, Texas Ranger, all tonight on CBS.
You may have to call him, Dr. Quinn.
I know. I appreciate the Kentucky.
Her, I should say.
Yes. The Kentucky medical staff helping me get back in the game. Delk.
Well, that's why you love seniors, huh? 2 major goals.
It was a 2-point field goal. 22 now for Delk. And that ties Jamal Mashburn for 4th on the all-time point list at UK. 1,843 points for Delk and Mashburn.
And just Gibbons, Walker, and Issel ahead of him, huh?
Of course, Mashburn left early. Delk's got the full 4. Blocked by Pope as he swatted a shot by Braswell.
He just keeps on trucking. One of the great attitudes on this team. Fought Duncan, then helped out contributors. That's all they look for.
13-point game. 2:40 left. 70-57 Kentucky.
And Delk so active off the basketball. They run it down to 10 with the bounce. Maybe Walker to the goal now. Duncan at a disadvantage. Charge. Good call.
Yep.
Jimmy Burr right on top of it.
Rick Pitino way out of the coach's box to point at John Cal as if to say to Jim Burr, Cal had a different call.
Gotta call it. Gotta call it.
And now the officials are going to confer.
Now, Dave Odom is furious because he got one, and that's a simple one for the officials.
Yeah, he walked almost to the midcourt line, did Pitino, way out of the coach's box. He might have a legitimate point because John Cal, it appears, was making a different call.
And now they're just diffusing that issue totally with Dave Odom. John Cal saying he had it the other way. You're going to have the jump ball or possession arrow situation here. Rick.
He's very lucky.
Yeah, he got away with it.
And the officials are still conferring. Jim Burr, who was the official on the side, called a charge. John Cal was under the basket and apparently was going to call a block.
Burr, I thought, had the right call. And if this call goes against Peral, which could be if they change it, that's on Peral. That's 5, and the possession arrow is Kentucky, so that's what's happening. They both get one.
They've announced the foul on Walker so far. And the foul on Peral.
Which is 5, right?
Well, they compromised or copped out, depending on how you look at it.
Rick Pitino got after John Cal, who had made a signal, and then ran out of the box. So he got the best of the entire deal.
Yes,
I believe it was a charge by Burr, and I think you'll concur. Jimmy Burr had that call.
Yes, he did.
And now it should be the technical foul, the 2 shots. I mean, all of this.
That's a charge.
Yeah, that's a shame. And is John Cal in the back underneath the basket is coming out. He's got his hands on his hips, and you see Jimmy Burr into your screen. So not a good play for Wake, or not a good turn of events.
And they certainly needed it to go their way, down by 13 now with 2:20 left. Peral fouls out for the 2nd straight game. He had 13 points in this one. The foul on Walker, his 4th.
And trying to go a little bit of his zone. It's going to let them bring the clock down. And they're trying to bump in the corner, and they get it for Delk. Smart team. They get the foul as well. Oh, a major Goolsby foul.
And the 4th on Steven, who's given Wake Forest a big boost off the bench. He averages 4 points a game and a rebound and a half, and he's had 12 points and 5 rebounds today.
And the 3 foul shots on this attempt. The key point in this game, little trouble. Kentucky looks to the bench, comes in with Walker and Delk. Solid understanding. Seniors stepping up. I believe Anderson's the guy that came in at that time, too, as you look at these seniors.
And so touching what Rick Pitino said about these 3. He said he'd be happy if his sons grew up to be like any of the 3 of them. He has such high esteem for the kind of people they are, Hope, Delk, and McCarty.
And having met them during the course of this season, the number of times you would concur, as I would. And they have given up maybe their selfishness or their self-interest would be a better way, for the common good. They want to win the NCAA championship. Duncan can't get the peak under the basket.
Goolsby. The tip by Allen. And a timeout, Wake Forest. With 1:47 remaining, Kentucky leads by 14. Sean McDonough with Bill Raftery and Michelle Tafoya back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Kentucky is surviving a spirited second-half run by Wake Forest, in large part due to the performance of Tony Delk, 25 points today, and he will finish his career in 4th place with a maximum of 2 games remaining in the Final 4. Not enough time to score the nearly 200 he'd need to move up to Jack Gibbons.
It is a Kentucky game, though. The home run. Clubs have tried that against them. I think what they do, they like to give you a couple. They speed up the tempo of the game when you do it against them.
Braswell in traffic. It gets tipped out and controlled by Goolsby, then blocked by Delk. Minute 25 left. 16-point lead. Joseph Amonette just into the game. Missed that shot. He's a freshman, Byrdstown, Tennessee. Seen very limited action this year, but due to the absence of Rutland, foul difficulties in this game, he's in. And the Cats sense that they are on their way to the Final 4. And they also will have posted a history-making win. This will be all-time victory number 1,648. One more than North Carolina for the all-time lead.
The tradition, the lineage. C.M. Newton deserves a lot of credit for hiring Rick Pitino. A lot of people didn't know if he could be enticed down to the bluegrass country. Took this program and enriched it already. Well,
Epps makes the first of the 1-and-1. The executive producer of CBS Sports is Rick Gentile. The coordinating producer of NCAA basketball, Bob Dekas. Today's game produced by Bob Monsbach, directed by Larry Cavallina. The coordinating producer of the Road to the Final 4 is Eric Mann. At the half was directed by Bob Matina. The associate director of today's game, one of the 10,000 men of Harvard, Ken Mack, and the broadcast associate, Steve Karasik. Braswell for 3. Goolsby. Oh, look out. That was very close to Delk coming down on his head.
I love the way the two teams play, though. Very clean, hard played. You watch Kentucky play, and the way they press you, it's almost like playing tennis, batting the ball back, and without Rutland in the game, it just was not a possibility. Here's the potential.
This was scary.
Yeah, it was. And they both help one another here, too, which is nice.
Fortunately, Delk had the right arm out to break his fall. Goolsby at the free throw line. He has 13 points now. Talk about the pressure on Kentucky, the pressure to win it all. More pressure on this team than any other team in the country, and that really trickles down to so many people, including Coach Pitino and his family.
The immediate, here they go for the home run again. I think they're as loose as they've ever been. And I've been fortunate enough to see Kentucky each year that Rick Pitino's been down there. They're so relaxed and confident. And here we go.
Comes Bill, make a play.
Not bad, Walter, huh?
Walter McCarty says, give me some of that.
That's the first rebound. I went up against Duncan. McCarty, undeterred.
Final 40 seconds, and Braswell called for a reach-in on Epps. The genuine Chevrolet players of the game from Wake Forest, Stephen Goolsby, 14 points and a career-high 7 rebounds. And for Kentucky, Tony Delk at 25 points, now 4th all-time at Kentucky. 9 out of 13 from the floor. Of course, the senior, Tony Delk. Epps makes the first. And Oliver Simmons comes into the game. And Walter McCarty gets a big hand as he goes out.
And I think his personality there, where is Rick? A little bear hug for O'Brien as well, and Pope. This team's together. Great giving, concern for one another. I think it emanates from Walter in a lot of respects. He not only can sing with a high octave, but he plays at a high octane.
Walter McCarty has sung the national anthem before UK basketball games and his gymnastics meets on campus. He has a wonderful singing voice. And you talked about the pressure on the family. You can see the relief and the happiness all over the face of Joanne Pitino.
And alongside her brother, Bill Minardi, a friend of Rick's from when they were kids. So you mentioned from top to bottom, they feel it as much as anybody. A relief. Pal Lillian alongside there. So the Cats are back in New Jersey, and probably the only problem Rick Pitino has is finding enough seats.
And the net, long heave, Anderson.
For Anderson, sent it in, and a pose for the ages.
Duncan on the bench. Goolsby missed a 3. Might be Duncan's last game in Wake Forest. Dave Odom doesn't know. Nazim Muhammad off the feed from Anderson.
Well, basketball's a religious experience. Might as well end it with Muhammad and Pope applauding in the rear.
The Kentucky Wildcats on their way to the Final Four.
Stringfellow scoring. The final score, Kentucky 83, Wake Forest 63. The Kentucky Wildcats are regional champions.
It is the 11th trip to the Final Four for the University of Kentucky. The second under Rick Pitino. They last went in 1993. First he went as well as the head coach of Providence College. So next Saturday, Kentucky will take on the winner of the game that comes next between Georgetown and UMass. Congratulations to the Wildcats. Now 32-2. For Michelle Tafoya and Bill Raftery, Sean McDonough saying so long. We'll join Pat O'Brien after this.
Well, coming up next, we'll send you down to Atlanta for the East Regional title game between second-seeded Georgetown and #1 UMass. Super soft Allen Iverson paces Georgetown. He's got that look today, and if this #3 breaks free, there will be a scoring spree. But for UMass, junior center Marcus Camby has been the man of the minute, averaging more than 16 points and 10 boards in the tournament. There they are. They're getting ready to play. That's next here on CBS. Let's send you back to Minneapolis now. Michelle Tafoya there with the winners.
All right, Pat. Well, I'm with Tony Delk. You had 25 points, and in the excitement, I'm not even sure you noticed. You moved into fourth place all-time on the scoring list, tied with Jamal Mashburn.
Now, that's a great feeling, but I would all the coach and the coaching staff and to my teammates, and I thought we played extremely hard out there, and our defense really was the key to us going on a big run like that.
I know that you guys were disappointed with the outcome of last season, and now you're on your way to the Final Four in New Jersey and ready to make up for it.
We have 2 more games we want to win, but we have to take care of, you know, whoever wins the UMass or Georgetown game. But I think we'll be ready, and our coach will prepare us well for the game.
Congratulations, Tony.
Thank you.
Coach Rick Pitino, just another win, but, you know, Wake Forest wanted this one, too. They went on a nice run there in the second half.
They certainly did. They deserve a great deal of credit. You know, at halftime, I thought we played one of the better games of the season. And our guys were docile, somber. And I said, guys, you just played the best half of basketball. Yes, it wasn't acrobatic. You didn't have all these incredible dunks. But you put on a clinic defensively, and you're not sky high. I said, they're making you play semi-their style. You just held a great basketball team to under 20 points. And then suddenly they realized what they were accomplishing, and they were remarkable on defense in the first half. We had to withstand. Tough playing with a lead against a good team.
We will see you in the Final Four. Congratulations.
You have any tickets?
Pat will be back with you after this.
Here's the latest update. In a perfect world in college basketball, you want your seniors to lead you to the Final Four. Well, folks, it was a perfect world today for Rick Pitino and the Kentucky Wildcats. They're going to the Meadowlands, and Mike Krzyzewski, you know what that feels like.
Well, it's great, and you can watch those kids. Their smiles, they're so satisfied. They had a great defensive effort. It was an unbelievable game plan by Rick and his staff, and they executed. That's one of the reasons they feel so good.
And you make a point about winning on Saturday. It's kind of fun to win on Saturday.
Yeah, then you watch everybody now, and you know you're going to the Final Four. Now you get I think a better atmosphere, a better feeling for it than the other teams.
All right, George, we haven't forgotten you. Coming up at 6 o'clock, UMass and Georgetown. The winner here will meet this Kentucky squad. We'll be back to talk about that one in a moment. Stay with us.